Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
It's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Rory Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me is co-host Ashleigh.
Hello.
And also joining us today is a very special guest. We have actor Brian Stapf, best known for playing Roy in The Walking Dead, Reed Scarred in Fantastic Four, Walter in Brawler, Patrolman in the originals, Jasper and third chess playing man in Banshee, Mercenary 1 in Under the Dome, Sam in House of Cards, and Nucleus in Powers. How are you today, sir?
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Now, for some of our listeners that may not be familiar with your background, can you tell us how you got into acting?
My teenage years, my mom was really into the arts, so she made us kind of do everything from piano, acting lessons, dance, and my father's real into sports, so did everything, whatever was in season then. And as I got older, sports kind of took over, and I went to college on a basketball scholarship and did a number of things out of college, and something I always wanted to get back into the acting and just never did. And eventually I had a friend of mine who was in some classes in Florida where I grew up in. She's like, you should come check it out. And one night I went over there. I was just in love with it. The teacher helped me get an agent and the classes, and it went from there.
That's very cool. Now, can you tell us how you were originally cast as Roy in The Walking Dead?
Yeah, actually, I auditioned for maybe a couple episodes in some previous seasons, and then, this season came up, and the Saviors were going to be a big deal, so they don't give you exactly what character you're reading for. You get some generic sides. You have to sign some 11-page non-disclosure agreement that you'll never talk about it, post anything, or do whatnot. And so I read, sent it in. My agent called back, and they're like, hey, can you ride a motorcycle? I was like, I've rode dirt bikes when I was younger, but I don't know. They're like, well, you need to get a license. So I was like, well, do I have the part? She was like, I don't know, but if you do get it, you're going to have to ride a motorcycle. I was like, okay. So I signed up for a motorcycle class, went, took it. She called back. They're like, okay, so you have the role. You're up for the role Gary. I think my buddy Mike Seal actually ends up playing Gary. And she called back. She's like, scratch that. You need to be in Atlanta in 2 days. Friday, Scott Gimple actually called the agency, which she had never talked to him before, and said he had a part that he really liked you for. And I think it had to do with a scene that actually never got shown. But it's we could talk about that later. It's actually cool, and that's how it came about. 2 days later, I'm in Atlanta.
It's very interesting, and isn't that just the nature of the industry, though? Like that very important scene gets cut.
Yeah, it was actually. I can understand why I got cut. It was pretty funny. It was actually episode, I want to say 14. It's when I went down to find when Daryl's hiding in the cellar, and I think I was chosen for the fact that a lot of the characters I play, for lack of a better term, are kind of a-holes and smart Alex, and they just they're that. And actually, in the scene, there's a crate in the cellar that says "Save for Christmas, kids' toys." I pull it off the shelf, throw it on the ground, and take a leak in it. but it didn't make the cut.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a pretty... it's one of those scenes you'll never forget. So I thought it would have, made the character infamous. But they cut it.
Yeah. Now all you have is that vegetable scene with Enid.
Yeah.
And the death scene, of course.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one, trying to figure out. We're like, man, what was he before the apocalypse? Was he, he must have been a grammar teacher, or, his mom was real strict growing up, and it always kind of stuck with him.
Or he fixed leaks for a living.
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, it does sound like it was a very interesting scene to shoot, of course, but I can kind of understand, because in the episode itself, it's meant to be a very intense scene. You don't know if your character will find Daryl and Maggie in the cellar, but that would have been something else to see on screen. I'm sure they wouldn't have actually shown it. They just would have had, like...
No, they just shot kind of with the box on the ground and, the sound effect.
Yeah, like they probably would have like focused on Daryl, but then had and Maggie and had the like as background noise kind of thing. Yeah. But you'd still know what would be happening. But, we can only speculate, of course, but that really does sound like a very interesting scene, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, look on the bright side. Now that you've actually admitted about the scene in an interview, we can definitely make you infamous.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, that's great stuff. Were you a fan of the show before you were cast in it?
Yeah. I've always liked the concept and the nature of the show. It's always been entertaining and it's a good thing to. It's a nice show on TV right now. I mean, it's got its there's nothing quite like it. There hasn't been before. The way they shoot it, they shoot it in that 16 millimeter still, so it has that grainy feel. It's just they've stayed true to everything with that, and just the amount of people that have been on it too is amazing. Just the it's definitely a good thing that's on TV, and I assume they're going to go on forever too. There's plenty of material.
Yeah, I know the showrunners have said they think they can get at least 12 seasons out of it, so possibly more. We'll see. I mean, the comics are still ongoing, of course, yeah, you never know. I mean, it's definitely a big beast, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the filming of your character's death scene in the season finale, the first day of the rest of your life, because it was such an intense death scene?
Yeah, it was. It was crazy to shoot it too. I mean, because you had to go in sections because there's so much other stuff going on, around it, and and just the prosthetic they had on the face, and how to make it look as real as possible. And it was a long day that day actually, but they fit me for a prosthetic that kind of has the face ripped off. They had the eyeball; it matched exactly to my other eyeball. So it's covering half the face. They had another piece that went on top of that with a bite plate, so Sasha could dig in and really move around in there and then rip it off. But we shot it a bunch of times at first, with the stunt people that fell off the trailer, and they jump on and we're wrestling, and then the day was so long. By the time it was me and myself and Sasha on the ground, it was nighttime, which was neat because with the lighting, and that shows you just how talented the crew people there, with the lighting and everything, they made it look like it was still the middle of the day. It was amazing.
That's really interesting. It sounds like it was a really long day shoot, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was so much going on that day. I mean, it's one of those scenes, one of those that sequence that went on with the shootouts and not knowing, what's coming out of there, and him, Negan not knowing what's going on. Then got Rick double crossed. It was a lot going on. It was fun.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that you tend to play a-hole characters, but
That's true.
Roy, I mean, he, in the scene with Enid, of course, he kind of was a bit of an a-hole there, but he's kind of also loyal, because I mean, the moment Negan almost gets killed by Sasha, he literally races to pull her off him, and that
Right.
ends up getting himself killed. So he's kind of loyal as well as being a
Yeah.
bit of an a-hole.
Yeah. Somebody had to do something, man. Dwight and Simon were over there playing grab ass. You know, nobody wanted to help them. It's like, always got to do the dirty work. Those guys don't do anything, man.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I think Negan will give Simon a talking to. I mean, Dwight will ignore it because he's a traitor.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And now, I'm not 100% sure how true this is, but I believe that your character was actually the only character in the whole of Season 7 that was killed by a walker, which in this case was Sasha, so that's interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of firsts with that, too. They were also, when we were sitting there shooting it, one of the producers was saying that Sasha was the only main character that was turned that they actually showed also bite somebody. That no other person in the main cast that got turned to a walker had ever bitten somebody else on camera anyways. You know, I guess you assume walking around they're doing it now, but they had never shown it before.
Yeah, that actually might be true, because thinking back on it, I feel like most of the main characters that did turn, and, you know, not all of the main characters do turn, because sometimes they get, like, you know, killed right away, like, no chance of reanimating, but the ones I can think of, the likes of Shane, for example, like, they were killed right away after reanimating, so I think that's true, yeah. It's interesting, I didn't think about that.
But I saw that. It's so ironic, too, because I always made fun of the fact watching before. I was like, how does anybody get bit? They're so slow. You know, it's not like World War Z where they're like, you know, Usain Bolt running around. Like, how do you get caught, man? It's like, and then there I am watching The Talking Dead, and I'm the only one to get bit in the whole season. It made me feel a little slow.
Yeah. On that subject as well with your game, but the thing I really like, and I mean I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead, of course, but the thing I always question so often is like, why does it feel like almost all of the time the walkers go for the necks? Like, I'm always like, walkers are wild creatures, they'll bite whatever is nearest to them, and yet it just seems to be 90% of the time, we're going for the neck. So I really...
They start to realize over time that maybe that's, you know, they get the most blood flow out of there. Who knows? But yeah, they do.
Yeah, I just think it's weird because it's not like they have any control. They just go for whatever's nearest or should. But that's why I really liked. No offense to you, of course, but I mean that's why I really liked that Sasha just ripped right in there into the face. Yeah, and the prosthetic looked really good. I did actually find a behind-the-scenes picture the other day of it. It was seriously awesome.
I have a couple good ones, that I've put up that everybody really liked. But it was amazing when I first saw it. It's like the eyeball was the same color of the eye, and it was cool. It was funny. I'm sure there's a bunch of pictures roaming around because once they put it on and I went back to set, I mean, everybody was messing with it. I'm sure there's one out there with Simon trying to lick it. I got one. They got a video of Norman. You know, he's sitting there just poking it. But there's some. I'm sure there's some good stuff roaming around out there somewhere because everybody was dying to mess with it.
Yeah. Well, there was another story you can take away. Most of the cast have played with your face.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
it's really great. What would you say were the biggest challenges you faced while working on The Walking Dead?
There weren't many. I mean, it's such a beautiful set. I mean, just the people and everything was amazing. I think the one day that we did the veggie scene was tough in the sense that I was the only person. I have on like 4 layers. I have like a thermal shirt, or, you know, a button up, a leather jacket, a skull cap, and it had to be 98 degrees out. I'm like, why am I the one that has all this stuff on? And there's a scene that also got cut, which was pretty entertaining. It was Simon and Gregory talking in the middle of the, right before we pull out. and it's maybe 2 pages of dialogue, and they were just, I mean, dying. It was so hot, and they're in there, you know, Gregory's in his suit, and it's just beaming, and they're trying to get through it, and it's just coming down, just sweat and sweat and sweat. I mean, filming in Atlanta in you know, August, July and August is not fun, not outside.
Yeah, it sounds like they really overdressed the 3 of you for that day.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But in terms of actual filming, I mean, that set moves seamlessly. I mean, the filmmakers that run it, the directors, producers, you know, all the crew people, they've been doing it for so long now together that, you know, it moves. I think some of the things that you might normally get on a set, with them being slow or they can't figure out how they're going to shoot that. I mean, at least it didn't happen in the 3 episodes that I did. I mean, they're very efficient.
That's really great. Aside from what we've discussed already, of course, what are your favorite memories from your time on the show?
Oh, it's definitely just hanging out with the people. I mean, the people that are involved in the show, the cast, everybody's just, you know, there's no egos. You know, from top to bottom, they're all just amazing. I mean, they all get along. It's, you know, it's like a big family. You know, everybody jokes around with everybody. Everybody's helpful. You know, it's just that when you're not filming, those are the best parts. You know, when you get to sit around listening to stories and, you know, people talking about where it's going, what's happened, and how nobody ever knows really what's going on because they don't give you any information. You kind of, you know, they keep everybody in the dark, so it's new and fresh to everyone. But definitely the you know, the downtime with the cast.
It's really cool. And would you have gotten a lot of downtime with the cast?
Yeah. It's such a big cast. You know, there so many things for them to cover that you end up getting some free time here and there, especially, you know, the different factions while you're not filming, and you know, all the, you know, the guest actors, you know, maybe not the main cast, but a lot of the guest people that come in. We were all, that last episode, we're all, you know, kind of at the same hotel. So after we were done, you know, we all go sit down and have a bite to eat, a drink, and, you know, people talk about, you know, things they were up for, or things that they didn't get. You get to hear all those good actor stories about the struggle. It makes you, you know, makes you feel normal, even when you see, you know, a bigger actor complain about stuff they didn't get.
Yeah, I imagine there were quite a lot of stories about that.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of good stuff.
That's really
a lot of good stuff. Even you know, one of the things I remember that the one day Pollyanna that plays, what is her character's name? She just got
Jadis.
Jadis. And just because we were filming that big scene, you know, that big shootout and whatnot, and just the trying to figure out where you fit in the whole, you know, in the world of The Walking Dead. It's like, you know, like Negan, he obviously enjoys what he does. You know what I mean? You know, so you kind of get his motivations and whatnot. And, you know, her character is so new that, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, what is everybody doing here? You know, I think that's one of the things that makes the show so great is that it's so primal. You know, that people get into that, man, if that was me, what would I do? You know, what would I do? We all kind of came up with the idea that it's that basic human instinct to survive.
Yeah, definitely. My final question for you, Brian, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
Yeah, actually, I just shot a pilot for the CW called Brawler that just got picked up, so we'll start shooting again in July, and I think it premieres August 9th, or October 9th, I'm sorry, on the CW. So that's going to be a fun one. Yep.
That's really cool, and the CW is obviously such a popular channel, so it's really great that you got a show there.
Yeah, it is. They so it's kind of outside the realm of what they're, you know, they have a lot of superhero shows and whatnot, and this is it's a military drama, but it's, you know, they're expanding, so it's nice. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they'll end up with with a military drama, like, you know, roster, like the way they have multiple superhero shows on the CW.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely interested to check it out because, like, I really like historical shows and military shows, so
yeah.
I'm definitely curious to check it out when it comes out later this year.
Good, thank you.
So that's all of my questions to you, Brian. Thanks for answering them, and I'll let my co-host Ashley ask hers now.
All right.
Hello, Brian, and thank you for joining us today. My first question for you is, which character have you always wanted to play in film or television?
I guess there's the great quote of, I forgot what actor said it, but they always ask him what's his, the role he wants, and he's always the next one. So, yeah, I don't know. I really, I enjoy a lot of the characters that we've discussed that I play because they're, they're multi-layered. They're not so simple, and I don't know if I have anything specific that I want, but I like a lot of those characters that have that inner struggle. They're not so perfect. They're not so laid out. It's the traditional hero, but those guys with problems. I love all the characters on say a Peaky Blinders and like Luther, and even a lot of the conflicting characters in The Walking Dead. I mean, there's that line, you don't know if they're good or bad. So I like that.
Absolutely. Those types of characters definitely add a lot more depth to this show. It doesn't matter if they're one of the headliners or even one of the supporting characters.
Right.
Was being an actor your dream career choice?
Yeah, I think so. Like I was saying earlier, is that I always was into it. I always wanted to do it. Then kind of sports took over, and even if you're an athlete and a good one, that's only so short-lived. That acting has been it's just really fulfilling. It's the things you get to research because you're going out for a role, the things you get to learn, and just stepping out there and being able to be someone different without the repercussions is just absolutely amazing.
Awesome. That's definitely one of the perks of being an actor, for sure. How has being part of The Walking Dead impacted your career? You did mention about your new show that you're beginning to film next month on the CW, which congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
So has The Walking Dead really gotten your face out there more as far as
it really has.
roles?
Like I think you kind of hear about it and you're like, it's just another role. How could it really impact, But it really did. I mean, it's just, it's such a well-liked show, and it's just, it reaches so many people, and even industry people, that really love it. It adds another dimension to your resume, just credibility that wasn't there before, I don't think. I mean, it's just, it's been a top-rated show on TV for so long, and so many great actors have been a part of it, that when you get to be part of that alumni, it really does, it really does add something to the resume. And as far as the fans, I mean, definitely, it's been amazing, the people, how much they enjoy it and how much they love it. It's I think every show or any sports team, they always say, our fans are the best. But I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to it when it comes to The Walking Dead. I don't think there's any fans like there are for The Walking Dead.
Absolutely. They are one of a kind in all ages and across the entire globe.
Yeah.
And that ties into my second part of the question is, how have the fans treated you? The Walking Dead fans specifically.
I mean, amazing. It's, surprising. Like I said, a lot of the characters, and I don't know, maybe if that scene didn't cut out, maybe they wouldn't like me as much, but that even being a part of, that faction of the Saviors who aren't, the most well-liked group on the show, I guess. But yeah, everybody's been so welcoming, and just people that love the show. And talking to other friends that are on it, that it's always like, oh, I don't like the Saviors, but I like you, or I don't like this, but I like, it's just amazing that it's all encompassing, it's welcoming. It's like, they don't necessarily pick sides. They just like the fact that you're bringing something interesting to the show, and anything that makes the show better, they appreciate and they like it. And it's nothing like anything else I've seen in any other show I've been on.
Of course, and you see the fans even embracing characters who had an impact in a relatively short amount of time, whether it was a couple episodes or just a season, and it's phenomenal. And you already touched on this before when you were describing your experience working with the cast and crew of The Walking Dead. So was there any particular memorable moment you had with them while filming?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. There's, like I said, the stories are just, endless. Like with the eye thing, people messing around. There was the one day where, we're sitting on there waiting to shoot. The Dave looking for Daryl and them in the cellar. We're just outside while they're setting up the next shot, and there's bicycles out there we're messing around on, and we're saying, man, you need to do one episode where they're just shooting you like this from the waist up, from the chest up. You're going down a hill, the Riding with Norm and Rita show. And I was like, when they pull back, you're just on the bicycle, man. You're just on the bicycle. There was the one day, Steven that plays Simon. It was just after they introduced the tiger. What is the tiger's name?
Shiva?
Yeah. I was like, I lost it for a second. So we were waiting to shoot, and Steven that plays Simon was sitting in front of Negan. Negan's just going through a script, preparing for the thing. And Simon just starts crawling past. Like, he's Negan Shiva. They guys started getting a bunch of pictures. It was just amazing. Just, like I said, the cast of people away from it are they could have a show, a behind the scenes show that would be just as entertaining, I think, as the actual Walking Dead.
Netflix series. That would be fantastic. It's a shame you can't get all that footage on, say, the Blu-ray or collector's editions for the DVDs and everything that they have out there, because I'm sure there's just so much great footage of all of you guys just being this whole Walking Dead family on and off the shooting sites.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they had a video of it, it'd probably be the funniest thing to look at. Is you have we're just waiting on the scene to set up, and sitting with Sasha, she's got her her zombie face on. I have my prosthetic half face, and we're sitting there talking about trying to get our kids to do stuff. How do you because she's got I think I want to say he's 2 or 3 now, and my son's 6. So the stuff she's going through, we went through, and we're just sitting there comparing, different stories of how to get them to do things, and you have my face and her face. I just imagine if somebody had a video of that, it'd be like, man, I don't know if these two are fit to be parents.
Get that trending on the internet.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is, do you have a role model or a hero that has inspired you along your acting career path?
Just any of the teachers that gave me all the information. I've been blessed to have other people that have helped me, because I started late, and even in starting late, have found, a lot of success that I'm happy with. So it's just been nice that there's been so many people to help, and I try to do the same for other actors that are coming up. If I can pass along any information, I always try to do my best to do so. But as far as like performance-wise and whatnot, I've always been a big Brando fan. Guys like Daniel Day-Lewis right now, Tom Hardy. Those characters that I find, those are the guys that play those characters that we were talking about earlier. They just add so much depth to what they do that it's inspiring to watch, and you try to pick up what you can from them.
Certainly. And those are certainly some great role models to have as you go on through your success in acting. Yeah. And I do appreciate you answering all my questions, and best of luck to you in your new and future projects.
Thank you so much.
That's all of our questions for you today, Brian. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's great, and hopefully we can talk to you again sometime.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get some good stuff out that you want to talk about some more, and I'll try to make sure I keep some good stories, some good off-camera stories to share.
Yeah, definitely, that would be great. I mean, you definitely had some really good ones today to share with us.
Good.
So we'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care, and bye.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Take care.
So make sure to check out our podcast links. Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official-everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Septusdestroyers. Check out Ashleigh's Instagram, www.instagram.com/scuba.ash09. Check out Brian Stapf's Facebook page, www.facebook.com/BrianStaff1, and check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
Geeks out.
I didn't even know the show, to be honest with you, and I guess I'll have to backtrack just a little bit to give you that answer. I was a big baseball player coming up through high school and college. I was a pitcher, actually.
My very last scene, and when we finished, Andrew Lincoln gave me a big hug and told me that actors like me are the reason he wanted to come to America and work on this show. And that meant so much to me.